Jurassic World Evolution 3 is right around the corner, and with it comes a lot of very awesome things to look forward to, including modular building. You get to basically make your own park the way that you see fit, which is all around a very awesome inclusion. Breeding animals, which of course leads to baby animals that eventually grow up into adult animals, which, that's something that we have been requesting for a while. And of course, swimming. Land animals having the ability to swim. That's what we're going to focus on in today's video. We're going to talk about how swimming works exactly and what to expect when the game finally does release. So to start off, the way that swimming is going to ultimately work is that you will have a deep water brush tool. Similar to how you have just a regular water brush tool, this one will just be solely for the deep water. It's something that you will be able to place into your enclosures, and you can plan out where exactly deep water is and where it isn't. But I want to start off with this first disclosure. Not every single animal will be able to swim, which is a little bit unfortunate because it's likely that most animals would have been able to swim. However, for gameplay purposes, this certainly does add a lot, as you can use like deep water as a sort of barrier to keep certain animals from getting to certain areas in the park. It's another option if you don't want to use a fence or something like that. So I guess it does add a little bit more creative freedom and just a few more dynamics to your overall gameplay. But which animals are able to swim? Well, so far the list is pretty small. The animals that we know can swim are Spinosaurus, obviously, Dimetrodon, and Baryonyx. I assume that every Spinosaurid will be able to swim in this game, so if Suchomimus does make the cut, which I hope it does because it has a glorious design, I assume it will be able to swim as well. This does not include wading. Of course, animals will still be able to wade through shallower waters, and if it's a fully grown sauropod, it will be able to wade through the deeper waters. So even though sauropods are not quite swimming, they can still access the deeper water, so that is something that you can keep in mind when creating your parks. You can't use deep water to separate a Brachiosaurus enclosure from an Allosaurus enclosure, That obviously does extend to the hybrids as well, as Ankylodocus can be seen swimming. Also in the background of this footage, it does seem like there is Pyroraptor. Now, Pyroraptor is a dinosaur that we saw swimming in Jurassic World Dominion, so I kind of assume that it likely can swim too. Meaning the dinosaurs that are confirmed to swim are likely Spinosaurus, Dimetrodon, Baryonyx, maybe Suchomimus, and possibly Pyroraptor. And I'm also using that logic because we know that Dimetrodon can swim, and we do see Dimetrodon swimming in Dominion as well. So it's likely if we saw it swimming on screen, Frontier will make sure it can swim in the game. Which that'll be interesting. A sort of semi-aquatic dromaeosaur will certainly be an interesting thing to see in the gameplay. Another really cool thing, at least as far as it goes with the Spinosaurids, is that Spinosaurus and the other Spinosaurids will be able to get their food from the water. They can fish in the deeper water, and the really cool thing about that is that you will not need to restock your fish. It's an infinite food source for your Spinosaurus or for your presumably Baryonyx, which means you don't need to place feeders in their enclosure, and I think that's really cool. That adds another really cool level to this overall gameplay experience. Also, it's worth mentioning that some of the semi-aquatic babies will be able to swim, but not all of them. So that is something that you will have to keep in mind when designing your parks. Like, you wouldn't want to create a situation where the animals are separated, like the juveniles are separated from the adults and the juveniles can't get to the adults. Because as we know from previous, modules and things like that, it's important to keep like the babies happy and that keep them in close proximity to the adults. Otherwise, you might have a bad time on your hands. So overall, the semi-aquatic behavior in this game is pretty cool. There's a lot to dive into. I am still a little bit disappointed that it's limited in terms of how many dinosaurs can swim. I mean, obviously, we just saw the T-Rex swim in Jurassic World Rebirth, and T-Rex was likely able to swim in real life. And as far as I can tell, I'm not too sure if T-Rex will be able to swim in this game. It'd be really cool if it can, but I'm just not too sure right now. It is possible that some changes will happen in the future after some feedback had been provided to Frontier, and of course some new animals will likely be added through DLC, and there's a chance that some of those new animals will be semi-aquatic as well, but only time will tell for that. Currently, I'm still very excited for this game. I still think that there's a lot to look forward to in this game, and I still think that it's really cool that we are finally getting deep waters implemented into the game. And I just want to talk about how glorious everything looks. Like in some earlier modules, like say with the boat tour, you can see like some rocks on the bottom of the water, and it looks so realistic and just looks so pretty from like previous iterations that we've seen of this game. And again, the whole idea that you can separate specific animals from each other by simply using the deep water that's a really good idea, because then it offers a lot of like really good possible enclosures. Like say if you want to make a Morrison formation enclosure and you want it to look like the Allosaurus is in the same enclosure as the Stegosaurus, but you don't want them to actually be in the same enclosure, you can just place down water, like deep water as a barrier. And then that'll keep them separated while simultaneously making it look like they are in the exact same enclosure. I mean, you can obviously use rocks for that, but rocks are also, they look like a barrier because of course they are a barrier. The water, it looks like they're still in the same enclosure, but you know that they won't be able to reach each other unless Allosaurus can swim. But I kind of doubt Allosaurus and Stegosaurus will be able to swim. So I assume that they're going to be, you will be able to use that as a barrier in that sort of way. I'm excited for the possibilities. I can't wait to see what all we can use this stuff for. And I'm very excited to be able to make these type of parks, especially with things like waterfalls and all of that awesome stuff. I think it's going to be really, really cool to see what everybody makes with this. But be sure to let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And if you like dinosaur related content, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you on board. But until next time, thank you so much for watching and have an awesome day.